think we have listened to creating brilliant analysis and mathematical analysis of the situation. And that too in a really long historical context. Honestly, I was supposed to know, but I can remember that our Congress party was prior to the Labour Party. I was thrilled to listen to her surgery. It doesn't necessarily mean that I entirely agree with many of the things that I said, but that was the whole objective of any analysis of potential issues which are faced day to day. Dr. Betelle has kindly agreed to take a few questions. Therefore, I will now throw it open to our distinguished audience here. Do I invite anybody here to start the discussion? Now, would you like to start? Yes, of course.
Thank you. Everybody here will go with a fresh perspective on government opposition and the way to play democracy. I have a question which is a little off what we were discussing, but more to do with what you talk and what you write on. Spread of education, democracy, and its impact on India. Do you see it spreading to the whole of India? Or does it remain in these pockets that there is no match?
That's an extremely important question, and you know, I see myself as being mainly a teacher, and it is an extreme. I think that it will spread, and it is spreading. You know, just a month ago, I was involved in a book launch by Mr. Kapil Sibal. He was launching a book which had been prepared by NUPA, the National University of Educational Planning and Administration. And the title of that book was Who Goes to School? And it raised precisely the question that you have raised. I think we were rather tardy in catching up with the rest of the world in the spread of literacy and elementary education. We took a lot of time to catch up with the rest of the world. But I think that there is no doubt at all that more and more people are going to school, and before very long, I think that a large majority of the population will go to school. But that's only the beginning of the story. That's not the end of the story. What kind of school will they go to? What kind of education will they receive in these schools? I think that there are serious problems about the kinds of schools that we have, that are growing in this country, the kinds of schools that are growing in this country. You know, there's a well-known study by a group of MIT economists which has shown that on any working day in the average elementary school in India, 25% of the teachers are absent. 25% on an average. And I have a daughter who did a PhD in education from Stanford, and she's an economist, she's not a sociologist, and she used to tell me about all this and, you know, work out her equations and all that. And I would say that if you were an anthropologist like me, the question that you would ask is not about the 25% who are absent, but about the 75% who are present. What do they do in school? So this is a very serious problem. And I think I've always pleaded with more case studies which will tell us about actually what goes on in the various kinds of schools that exist in this country, and we know very little about them. I'm not against collecting statistics about school enrollment, school dropout, graduation from school, and so on and so forth. But I think that we need much more material on what actually happens in our schools. And I'm convinced without knowing all the facts, I'm still convinced that we have the largest variety of schools in this country, a much larger variety of schools than in any other countries in the world. We have schools which are now producing students who can go straight from school to some of the best universities in the United States. They compete and they do very well. And we have schools where hardly any teaching is done and where hardly any learning is done. And when I think of those schools, I remember Mahatma Gandhi's injunction, what is the use of sending children to school? As you know, he refused to send his own elder son to school and then to... So, but the point is that I think that we have to give much more thought to what is happening, to the varieties of schools that we have here. But before we do that, we need more information on what is happening in the different kinds of schools and what are the types of schools that exist in this country. You know, there was a great burst of village